Focus to the telecom players as Vodafone Idea has approached the top court to seek relief on AGR waiver dues after the government rejects request. Other than that, some of the other telecom players are also in the foray. Let's go across to my colleague Sumit Chaturvedi for more details on this one. Sumit?
Supreme Court is today going to hear an important plea regarding Vodafone Idea and its dues. Well, Vodafone Idea had approached court last week seeking relief on these dues after getting them rejected by the government. Vodafone Idea is asking for relief in public's interest. Well, recently government had converted its dues into equity. Equity's worth is around 49% in Vodafone Idea. Thereafter, Bharti Airtel also approached Supreme Court regarding the same, and Bharti Airtel has also asked Supreme Court for relief in this regard, AGR regard. So, keeping all that in mind, these developments will be important. Vodafone Idea has already said that its dues are so much that there's a problem of being a going concern. So, keeping all that in mind, Supreme Court hearing of today will be crucial.
Okay, thanks Sumit for all of those details. Vodafone Idea stock slightly under pressure today. A 4% cut is what we are seeing on the back of this news flow that they've approached the Supreme Court to allow their AGR waiver. But let's bring on board Balaji Subramanian, telecom analyst at IIFL Securities, to help us understand what impact this move from Vodafone Idea could have, and even if this is granted, what's the road going ahead? And Balaji, that's my exact question to you. Let's start with Vodafone Idea's latest Supreme Court plea. How significant is this 30,000 crore relief it's seeking? Is there any legal precedent for this waiver? How likely is it for this to hold up in court?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me on the show. My sense is that there has been a change in the Chief Justice of Supreme Court last week, and this review petition follows that. If you look at Vodafone Idea's position, the government now holds 49% stake in the company, and the telecom minister had given an interview a few weeks back stating that the government doesn't have any intent to take its holding above 50%. So, what that effectively means is that at least at this point, the probability of any further dues getting converted into equity remains low. That is one. Two, there have been crore rupees in debt from lenders. This has been going on for close to a year now. And since the curative petition in the Supreme Court got rejected in September last year, this process of debt raising has hit a roadblock. And with the government openly saying that they wouldn't want to hold anything more than 49% or 50%, there is a risk that next year, which is more precisely by 31st March of 2026, when Vodafone has got to pay its first AGR installment, which stands at a little close to 16,500 crores, they may have difficulty in making those payments in the absence of any relief. So I think it's a combination of the current position that Vodafone Idea is in, and the fact that there has been a change of guard at the top of the Supreme Court is what has probably resulted in Vodafone seeking relief on the AGR payments.
Mr. Subramanian, this is Shrishti also joining in, but give us some sense that what's the probability or the likelihood of this actually going through, because multiple times that we have seen Vodafone Idea actually making a plea to get off this particular waiver and have this sort of a waiver. And not just Vodafone Idea, add to that list is Bharti Airtel too, which itself is in a decent position vis-a-vis Vodafone Idea, but still needs capital for the expansion going ahead, and even they are making a plea and a case there. So give us some sense that what is the probability, and if not this, then what could be the next step that these telecom players can actually take, if there is any?
I don't think, it will be that easy to comment on the probability, because firstly, there have been multiple verdicts from the Supreme Court, some of them very detailed and some of them being quite brief, stating that there cannot be any relief in terms of the NPV or the quantum of the AGR liability. So the Supreme Court has categorically said that That said, even if you look at the earlier verdict of the Supreme Court, the detailed one, it says that mm, the numbers are final and cannot be subject to change, etc. But you can't completely dismiss the telcos appeal also, because the telcos have been maintaining, and DOT also has conceded in the past that there are certain calculation errors that both parties would like to get resolved. So, to that extent, there is some merit in terms of the telcos seeking for a relief. But that said, these things are very difficult to predict, because, the original verdict of the Supreme Court is very strongly worded. So, I wouldn't kind of, stick my neck out and say that, either, the relief is definitely coming or it is not coming.
Okay, but Balaji, let's talk about a hypothetical situation. Let's say the relief is coming for Vodafone Idea, but they've already sounded alarm bells over their survival beyond FY26 without any bank funding. Help us understand, how realistic could this be in terms of a turnaround for the company, even if, let's say, for this time around this waiver is granted, but what's the path going ahead for Vodafone?
So, see, the thing is, the company is still in a pretty, tough position as we are today, because their subscriber losses are still there if you look at the TRAI numbers. So, while the losses have been coming off, but they are still losing subscribers, and they are in the process of rolling out their 4G network. 5G is something which they have just started. And, at the end of the day, in the marketplace, you are competing with two very strong, well-capitalized players. And even in terms of the flow through from the July 2024 tariff hikes, the extent of the flow through has been lower for Vodafone Idea compared to peers. So that position still remains challenging. And, they would ideally need a lot of things working in their favor, where the subscriber loss is arrested, the rollout happens quickly, and they start seeing some benefit of subscribers upgrading from 2G to 4G, and on top of that, you'll have they will need the help of some relief also, coming in the form of AGR waiver, in case the Supreme Court takes a favorable view. So my sense is that things are still going to be tough for them. But at least, clearly, if they were to get a 30,000 crore relief in terms of NPV terms, that will clearly help them. And, maybe it will help them raise debt going forward, because their cash flow really burden also will come down to some extent. So things improve, but still, they will still remain challenging.
All right, and Mr. Subramanian, since we have you with us, though this is one of the significant developments we have been watching out for, but apart from that, what's been your take on the earnings that we have seen from the likes of Bharti Airtel, where the ARPU growth has been quite flat, and along with that, how do you see the investor strategy playing out with respect to Bharti Airtel? What are you penciling in, and with Vodafone Idea, what's your current take?
So if you look at the 4Q numbers, as you said, ARPU was flat quarter on quarter, but that is understandable, because we had a couple of two strong quarters in 2Q and 3Q as the tariff hikes flowed through. And let us not forget that if you are looking on a quarter-on-quarter basis, the ARPU also gets influenced by two fewer days in the quarter. So I think the underlying revenue growth has been fairly resilient, both for Bharti and Jio. And for Bharti, even in the absence of tariff hikes, some 2-3% QOQ revenue growth is on the cards because of the subscriber additions, the underlying upgrade of 2G users to 4G, 5G, etc. I think that should continue. And my take is that maybe towards the end of this calendar or early next year, there should be another round of tariff hike. So that should help Bharti probably inch closer to the 300 rupees ARPU target that they have been talking. and maybe by somewhere close to the end of FY27, they should be close to the 300 rupee mark in terms of ARPU. So, a lot of this is already factored into Bharti Airtel's price. So, from here, I think it would be more of a steady and smooth sailing compared to the very sharp stock price gains that we saw over the course of the past year.
Moves expected for Bharti Airtel from now on. Balaji, thanks so much for joining us. On that note, we'll let you go. Once again, thank you so much.